Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sport.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.
We back.
I know. What's good, man?
What's going on, man? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. Feeling good.
So I know I got a bunch of questions asked to me about, what y'all doing, why y'all ain't been recording, what's going on. And I would say that we busy. And not too busy to do the show, but time kind of gets away from you. Even now, we had to figure it out and get something done. So, but again, this is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
It's for Scotty B, man.
All right.
So,
it's a lot. We got a lot. And we have no time restraints. All right. So, well, kind of. But, we had the NCAA tournament just finished. The draft is about 2 weeks away. NFL offseason as far as free agent signings. We talked a bit about that a couple weeks ago. And things are starting to heat up. So I guess let's start on in the college ranks. In the men's, the Florida Gators found a way to steal a championship from the Houston Cougars. And then in the women's, the UConn Huskies obliterated the South Carolina Gamecocks, the Lady Gamecocks. So what's your thoughts on both games?
So I think watching that Houston-Florida game, I thought Houston was going to win. I mean, the first half, their defense is out of this world, man. And when they put the clamps on Clayton, I was like, man, this is going to be interesting. Now, as you know, this is the first bracket. I don't know if it was our bracket or the other bracket to where I picked all Final Four winners. Final Four people, and ended up picking the championship and ended up picking the winner. It's the first time I've ever done that. So I was sitting there thinking like, okay, hold on. I got to find some way for Florida to win, because I guess everybody had my same thought process. A lot of people were still in the tournament. Like, it wasn't like one of those years to where like, okay, you're going to win going into the championship game. It was like, I got 2 or 3 people that if Florida loses could possibly win. So I was like, dang, okay, it won't be second. And somehow, some way, man, they found a way to win, man. It shocked me, especially the last possession.
Yeah, to not get a shot off is just, man, what in the world? That was. I'm over here dropping stuff, man. But that was crazy, because it was like they seemed so unprepared when the situation itself happened to them just 2 nights before. They was just in the other, the shoe was on the other foot. So it was just amazing. And they still had timeouts left. So they could have called timeout and drew up a play. And in that situation, I would draw up a play, because I don't care if I don't want to be erratic, right? And that's what they were. They were erratic. They looked like chickens with their head cut off. They was just running all over the place. Didn't really have anything set up. They panicked. And with a coach like Sampson, you don't expect them to panic, and Houston has experience, so you don't really expect them to panic. And it looked like they just panicked. It looked like they didn't know what to do. And when it got to 3 seconds and we were all over the place, I would have called timeout and got something set up. Got something set up for the last shot. And you do what you got to do, because you didn't need a 3, but it seemed like all they wanted to do was take the 3 and have a I guess a March Madness moment. And ultimately they had a moment. It wasn't a moment that they're gonna have to live with that for pretty much forever, you know. So, but shout out to Florida. I mean, they had a hell of a team. So it wasn't like they were some sort of fluke. I mean, they won the SEC, which was probably the best conference in basketball this year. And I mean, and they had their scares in this tournament, but and all in all, man, they were the best team in the tournament.
Yeah, they were the most consistent team in the tournament too. I was okay with Florida winning.
Well, I'm sure you was. I'm sure you was.
But a lot of times, like I didn't feel like Houston was the best team in the tournament, but I did feel like they had the best defense. Mm-hmm. If it wouldn't have been for my early season picks, mm-hmm. I would have probably rather saw Duke go up against Florida.
I ain't gonna lie, I was happy Duke lost. I was happy Duke lost. I ain't even gonna hold you, man. I felt like it everything was just working out too perfectly for them, and I ain't gonna lie, if it was Duke Florida, I probably would have ended up picking Duke to win a national championship. So I don't know, but I mean, it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna get back to that Duke team in a little bit. But real quick with the women, it was South Carolina versus UConn. I mean, Paige Beckers pretty much had done everything in college except win a national championship. She got hurt, and she missed some time, and I felt like she was destined to win this championship, right?
Right.
But it was like, but it's South Carolina and they got some dogs over there. But then, going into this game, I'm like, well, UConn demolished South Carolina on their home floor in South Carolina. So it's like they can't do it again. They did it again. They did it again. And so shout out to UConn, shout out to Paige Beckers, because here's what people don't really understand. Some people, before Paige Beckers got hurt, wasn't nobody thinking about no Caitlin Clark. It was Paige, but she was the best player in college basketball. Now there were some other folks that were still good, and don't get me wrong, Caitlin Clark was still good, but she wasn't better than Paige Beckers. I mean, me personally, I still don't think that she's better than Paige Beckers, but
so I will agree with you that before she got hurt, she was that girl, still is that girl. Caitlin Clark is special, bro, and Paige Becker is special too. I don't know if I would say that she's necessarily better than Caitlin Clark.
I would watch both of them now. Now again, she got hurt and things happen, but she's gonna be the number 1 pick,
right?
Next week, and next week or 2 weeks, whatever it is. And I think that so Caitlin Clark. No, I don't want to diminish anything that Caitlin Clark did. Right? She had a special year last year. And I think that Paige Beckers had an underrated year this year. I mean, she was one. I mean, if Juju wasn't doing what she did, Paige probably would have been the National Player of the Year, right? If you got the girl from UCLA as well, but nonetheless, I don't know. I've Paige. She bad. She could dribble. She could shoot. She could pass. I mean, it's gonna be interesting.
Let me ask you this, right? And as women's sports or women's college basketball in general, is this one of the best eras that we've ever seen for women basketball players?
Absolutely.
Because and me and you have talked about this quite a bit, to where women's basketball has always been competitive. It's always been like a good show, but it seems like it's hard to get like people interested in it. And we've talked about like the WNBA and how they get lack of support or whatnot. And it seems like they're getting like all these stars now that are drawing people into like, oh, okay, like now I want to watch them. I personally think NIL and endorsements is helping that cause too, because we're starting to get to know a lot of these women athletes. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll say this. So the last couple now, I won't include this year because I think that both tournaments have been equally as good. Were equally as good this year. I thought the men's tournament was the best tournament we've seen in probably the last 5 to 10 years, right? But the last 2-3 years, the women have had a better NCAA tournament. The Olympic team is the Olympics, like, so that Olympic final gold medal game was amazing. That might have been one of the best basketball games I had seen in quite some time when they played France. But then you have a good WNBA season. Then you bring in the Unrivaled Basketball League. Now you're talking, because now the Unrivaled Basketball League, one, they're getting paid, and it was founded by 2 current WNBA players, right? To give the women some other league, some other professional league to play in, where they don't have to go overseas, right? I thought that was super dope. And I don't know if you've ever watched any of the games.
I have.
Yeah, but there's some good games, and they just said they damn near broke even, if not a little bit in the black. So that's actually amazing for their first season, right? To even be close to breaking even is amazing. So I think we're in a bit of a renaissance for women's basketball, because if you think about it, college basketball is going to get Juju for another year because she got hurt in the tournament, right? So she got hurt in the tournament. So they'll have her for another year, maybe even 2. Whenever she comes out to go to the WNBA, she's going to be the number 1 pick. She's going to be the number 1 pick. But she has, because like you said, because of NIL, she has no hurry to leave college basketball. For what? You're in State Farm commercials, Gatorade commercials, Nike commercials. What do you like? Honestly, right now, the WNBA is not gonna enhance her brand right now. She'll be helping the WNBA more than the WNBA will be helping her right now, right? But you got other talented women coming out as well. So like we were just talking about Paige Beckers. I keep on forgetting the girl's name from UCLA, but these ladies can ball. So right now is a good time, and I think that they're about to go through a little nasty time because they got the collective bargaining discussion and everything with the WNBA. But I mean, as far as the ball players, this right now is the best era, I would say, for as a collective.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All right, so where are we going next, man? Do you want to touch the NBA or
one quick thing before we get to the NBA, NFL? Did you hear this story about the kid from Duke? He's from Sudan, South Sudan, and they're trying after they lost. This administration is trying to get him deported because of something with the something with Sudan and United States. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't hear about it. It's so much crazy stuff going on. It doesn't even. That's wild.
Yeah, they like, and I'm like, man, the dude just lost a game in the uh uh that he just lost. It's like Kaman Maluk. Yeah, so he's part of the South Sudan national team, and they're trying to deport him. You gotta read up on that. It's crazy. I thought it was like, yo, he's considered a top 5 pick. So if he gets drafted in the NBA, then what? What happens? So I don't know. But nonetheless, the NBA playoffs, well, not the playoffs, but the season, we got a couple days left in the season. And the West is up for grabs. Well, 2 to 10 is up for grabs. They're pretty mainly 3 to 10 because the Rockets are going to be the 2 seed. More than likely, the Lakers are going to be the 3 seed. So you got the play-in tournament. What are your thoughts on the play-in tournament? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Do you think it should go away?
No. So at first, I wasn't too thrilled about it. But what we're starting to see is I say what we've been seeing is teams don't want to be in that play-in tournament aspect.
Right.
They want to be 6 through 10. So toward the end of the season, like right now, you see the games mean a lot more. It was pretty much like the way I kind of recall basketball. You have early on in the season, people are barely paying attention because they're into football. You hit Christmas, people start to tune in, so they'll watch it tough until the All-Star break. All-Star break goes in, people are still kind of like watching. And then you hit March Madness, and that kind of takes everybody's attention away because everybody gets super focused on college basketball. And then like during this period, most of the times, like they've already got it locked up. Teams are starting to sit their players, starting to get rest up for the playoffs. And I mean, people are they've got their mind on Cancun if they're out of it, so they're barely playing. And with this, it keeps it interesting for a lot longer. So I know the players hate the play-in tournament, but I've grown to kind of like it and appreciate it because it's giving the players more motivation than number one throughout the year, do whatever you can do to not be in the play-in tournament. And number two, your season may not be over, so it gives a little bit more incentive for some of these teams that are 11, 12. If they have a shot of getting to that 10 spot, they're playing a lot tougher.
Yeah, I think that it's breeding competition, right? I like, I think it was LeBron said, "Shoot, you want to get that week off, It makes a whole lot of sense. You won't have to. Season ends on Sunday. Some teams it ends on Saturday, and you wouldn't have to play again until like the 20th or the 21st. You get a full week off to rest. Now, and you can see these, like you watched the game from yesterday. You had Minnesota and Memphis. It was the first half I'll say was like a playoff atmosphere, and then Minnesota went crazy. They went crazy in that second half. So now you got I believe it's Minnesota, Memphis, and Golden State that's like tied for that 6th spot, right? And now it's almost you have the competition of like if it was an 8 seed. Remember back in the day when you got teams fighting for the 8 seed, but this one is a little different because 8 seed, you got to 90% of the time that 8 seed is gonna lose. Like they're gonna get they butts kicked. Now you're fighting for a 6 seed, and shit, you still may lose, but you got a way better shot, and you get some rest before you go against that 3 seed. So I think that it's breeding competition, is making the game a little bit more enjoyable to watch. This season has been a lot better than the previous seasons, where I almost like hated watching basketball. If it wasn't for like Inside the NBA and things like that, I probably wouldn't even have been watching them just so I could get to the post game. But speaking of Inside the NBA, they had their last regular season game yesterday. Did you watch it?
Nah, I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it Inside the NBA. I mean, I know it comes on late, but yeah, it was like, it was bittersweet. You're gonna see him during the playoffs, but it's like, I don't know how much of it. It's not gonna be the same, even if it is on ESPN or wherever they're going. It's not gonna be the same. It's not. It's gonna be like,
Yeah, I mean, all good things must come to an end, but I really have enjoyed like their commentary over the last
yeah,
like
most of your life.
Barkley and Ken and Ernie. I mean, Shaq. I mean, recently, but I mean, like those guys, man, they've been. I say the last 25 years, right? It's been.
It's been a minute. Well, Inside the NBA has been on since I want to say since the early '90s. I mean, Kenny's been there pretty much since day one, and then as those guys retired and came over,
Yes, I know Barkley came over after he retired. That was probably like about 2000, maybe
somewhere around there. Yeah, him and Kenny's been there about the same amount of time. Shaq got there, I want to say probably like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while. So I mean, they've been together long enough. They've been together for a pretty long time. So I mean, they're still gonna be together. They're just gonna be on a different network. But I think that is gonna be fine. I think the show is still gonna be. I'm sure they're not gonna sugarcoat things the way people may think. I think they're gonna still be, those guys. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think it'll be okay on ESPN. I don't know. It's like ESPN's basketball coverage isn't like the greatest to me.
I'm with you on that. It's right now TNT is my favorite.
Yeah.
ABC.
Well, I mean, that's still part of ESPN. I don't know. It's like their pregame. It's like their pregame show, and even I guess they don't really have a post game. I think the post game is normally Scott Van Pelt, and that's cool.
You know what it is? ESPN will make you have fatigue of their like commentators. Not really their commentators, but the like hosts of the show. Because like you can, like Stephen A. Smith, how many more times do you want to see him? Michael Wilbon, like you see these guys like all day, and then they do guest appearances on other shows. A lot of them have radio shows. So like if you tuned in to like the ESPN like app with all the radio shows, like you hear them throughout the day, and then you see them on the coverage. At least with Kenny, Charles, you don't see them as often.
You see them a couple days a week.
Yeah, they're a lot less scripted too. They those guys have fun, man. With everybody else, it's kind of like, okay, they're there to kind of do a job. All right, me and you didn't get to talk about this, and I just thought about it. The Stephen A. LeBron thing, man. And I know it's kind of like went away, and everybody's kind of weighed in on their opinion, but me and you never like really talked about it. How'd you feel like watching that?
Honestly, I thought it was sad. I thought it was pretty childish. I thought that if I'm being 100% honest, I felt like Stephen A. went out like a sucker. That's just my personal opinion. I felt like all the stuff they were saying on Twitter and stuff like that, and they had the altercation or I guess you can't call it an altercation at the game, but the real issue was after that. It was like 2 weeks after that. And I felt like Stephen A, when he had his whole 20-minute or so rant, I thought it made him really look small and really look desperate. And it was like, to me, it was like a pitiful cry for attention from somebody that honestly doesn't need to cry for attention, right? And when you're bringing up Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame induction, and you're bringing up Kobe Bryant's funeral or celebration of his life at the Staples Center at that time, I just felt like you're trying to go low and you make yourself look dumb, right? Because he was at Kobe Bryant's. I don't think that was the funeral. Was that considered the funeral?
You talking about the one at the Staples Center, right? And now,
Correct,
I don't recall if it was his funeral, but it was like pretty much
It was like
everybody.
his celebration of life. We'll just call it like his celebration of life, right? So LeBron was there, but he decided not to be in the public eye. When it came to Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame induction, saying, "Why weren't you there?" and things like that. Well, 2 weeks before that, his son almost died. So his son collapsed, as y'all know. His son collapsed at USC during workouts. So, and Dwayne Wade's even mentioned it. He's like, I told LeBron wanted to come. I told him stay with his family, which is they're like brothers. That's like, honestly, and if we're being real, Dwayne Wade and LeBron James like you and I. You know what I'm saying? Like, we may not be blood, but I mean, it don't make us any less closer. So it's like, to me, I was like, he was trying to like, almost like he was, because he did say something about, other than your family, nobody likes you. He did that. When I honestly, if I'm being real, that's probably Stephen A. Probably other than his family probably doesn't even like him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just thought it made him look small, in that situation. And I don't know. I was happy when that shit. I mean, excuse me, I didn't mean to curse. I was happy when that whole thing died down, because it was just dumb.
So I agree with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so I think that he tried to like kill him with like words and try to like check him. And to your point, it was a little bit too much. What I took him calling out him not being at LeBron's funeral, not being
Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe, not LeBron, and not being I guess like at Dwayne Wade's ceremony, is like these are like potential stories that I normally would have like ran, regardless if he was there, regardless if he was Dwayne Wade told him to like stay at home or whatnot. Those are like potential questions like he would have asked like a normal person. And regardless of the meaning, it was just kind of like, yo, we kept all that quiet, and we've given you a pass on covering you to keep that open relationship with you, but the one time that we do have to do our jobs, you're in your feelings about it. And I guess that's where he was. To me, that's how I took it. To where it's kind of like, I've given you a pass for over 20 years. What else do you want me to do? You know what I mean? And then now you're going to be like super childish when I've got to ask the same legitimate questions about your son and cover it. And you went after people behind closed doors. You've shut down stories or whatnot. I'm not trying to do that. I just feel like it just didn't land the right way. So I think people kind of took it a little bit more like, oh yeah, he was at his celebration of life. Why are you being petty and bringing this stuff up? Are you trying to bring light to it? But I think all he was saying is that, I've had the utmost respect for you. The only thing that you could get me on is that I don't consider you the greatest athlete of all time, or greatest basketball player of all time. And I had to critique your son, but really when I critique your son, I didn't really say anything negative. I just pointed out the facts, just like everybody else. So that's how I took it. A lot of people may disagree with me. I think the
I'm
messaging
one-
just got huh?
no. I said I'm one of those people because I think that the problem, one of the problems, like let me before I even say this, I respect Stephen A. and I respect his craft. I respect his longevity, and things like that. But what I don't respect sometimes is that he gives false information or he doesn't give full information. And it's not just Stephen A. It's a lot of times it's on a lot of these sports shows, right? That where um they don't really they give biased opinions. Whether they want to say it's biased or not, it's clearly biased when they talk about the Lakers, LeBron, the Cowboys, the Yankees, and those teams like that. There's clearly a bias when they're talking about these teams. Then when they don't bring up other athletes that are doing something similar or things of that nature, or teams like we don't hear about the Rockets and the Pistons have had the some of the best turnarounds that we've seen in damn near history, right? But whatever, we'll get to that at another point. We talking about Stephen A. right now. One of the issues that I have with him, like I said, and some of these other places, that they don't really do their fact checking, and the fact that they have all these people behind the scenes that can give them the actual facts. They'd rather run with a bogus story or false narrative than give the facts. Maybe because they're trying to keep viewership or get viewership, but it kind of gets to the point, and that, I mean, this is partly what LeBron is talking about, because you can scream nepotism till the cows come home, right? Bronny is not the worst pick ever. He was a 50-something pick in the draft. He was a second-round pick, and he went to the G League, and he averaged like 22, 6 and something, right? Or 22, 5 and 4, 5 and 5, whatever, which is a good season. And he had a 17-point game in the NBA, and he had all. So would he have gotten that shot if he wasn't LeBron's son? That's always been the biggest question. And my answer to that is, who gives a damn, right? Because a lot of these CEOs of these companies get those jobs because their daddy was the CEO initially, right? And they left it down. The Cowboys, Jerry Jones. Listen, everybody wants to say the Cowboys won't win anything until they get a new GM or until, God forbid, Jerry Jones passes away, right? You know who's going to run the Cowboys when Jerry Jones passes away? His son. His son. Like, and his daughter's in the organization. So I feel like because LeBron is LeBron, right? LeBron moves the needle, and Bronny. I feel like if Bronny would have played college basketball this year, I think he would have had a hell of a year, right? But who gives a damn? He's getting paid, and mind you, he was already getting paid before. He was one of the top NIL moneymakers in college. He was like top 2 or top 3. So it ain't like he wasn't making money before, right? And he's getting people tried to say, oh, he's getting this higher salary. No, he's getting the same $7 million that second round picks get. And so guys like Stephen A., who's criticized this kid for whatever, you can say what you want, but he was one of the top scorers in the G League this year, right? And he was a second round pick. So what's the problem? You're criticizing him because he's LeBron's son. If he wasn't LeBron's son, if his name wasn't Bronny James, his name was Bronny Jenkins, right? If his name was Bronny Jenkins and he was the 56th pick in the draft, no one would give a damn. No one would care. And if he made it to the NBA, or if he was on a 2-way contract, how Bronny was, they wouldn't care. Even if he played for the Lakers, they wouldn't care. They would say, oh, and then when he got to when he made it from the G League to the NBA, then you do what you want to do. Now, I'm not saying Bronny's above getting criticized, right? He is LeBron's son, and he should get criticized for whatever reason. But Stephen A was one of the people that was like being nasty towards this kid because he was LeBron's son. And I mean, it's not no secret that LeBron and LeBron's people don't like Stephen A. You know, it ain't no secret. So yeah, he didn't talk about him when he was in high school, and he barely talked about him. He couldn't really talk about him in college because he was on a minutes restriction and all of these things. So now it's his chance, and LeBron checked him. Listen, Scott, and anybody that wants to if somebody is talking crazy about Cam, I know for a fact you ain't letting it ride. You're not.
No, and look, I didn't have a problem with that. And I guess like with this, there's no right or wrong answer. But what I feel people have to acknowledge is this is the first time we've seen somebody with this power be able to do this. Will Bronny pan out to be a good pro? Probably. Does he deserve to be in the NBA? Probably. Has he proven that he could play in the NBA and in the G League? Yes, he has proven or whatnot. But it's one of those things that sometimes the truth hurts. And I think that it gets under LeBron's skin, knowing that he pulled a lot of strings to get the Lakers to draft his son. Whether he likes it or not, that's what happened here. You know, other teams may have drafted him. We'll never know. But the reality and what we do know is that he put it out there that, hey, I want to play with my son. I'm going to the team that my son goes to. I'm getting older. He's eligible. Take a flyer on him. He put it out there to every other team. Don't draft my son. You know, no other team did that. He flexed his power. And regardless if this happens in any other industry or not, we know it happens everywhere. But the fact as a player that he was able to do that, I mean, yeah, it's impressive. You have to respect it. But on the flip side of it, too, people are going to call it as they see it because it's a story. And you can't have it both ways, right? You know, people are going to say, hey, you wouldn't have got that spot if it wasn't for your dad. You're right. And in one sense, who the hell cares? But then in the other sense, people have the right to be entitled to their opinion. And I get it, right? He was standing up for his son, but he does have to recognize that, yeah, maybe his son shouldn't have got that position. Maybe he should have.
I mean, it's a. So I know people.
I'll tell you like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say LeBron didn't say anything, right? Let's say that it didn't matter. He was just saying, you know what? It'd be nice to play with my son, but I'll be happy if he goes anywhere. And he had to go through the draft process like everybody else and was scouted like everybody.
He
I don't
did.
know if it's,
He did do all of that.
He did all that, but it was pretty known that he needed to go to the Lakers to make some things happen.
So, well, I personally don't see a problem with that because if I'm in the NFL or the NBA and my son is getting ready to get drafted while I'm still in the league, who better? I wouldn't want my son anywhere else, and it's happened. King Griffey Jr.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
King Griffey Jr. I mean,
yeah, you wouldn't want your son anywhere else, but at the same time, too, you didn't. If your son would have been drafted, you just been like,
nothing would have happened if the Magic would have drafted Bronny. LeBron James would have still been in LA. He wasn't going to go to Orlando. He would have still been in LA. Bronny probably would have it would have been a Eli type Archie Manning type thing where they would have forced him to trade Bronny or whatever on draft day, something like that. Because the teams could have done that. They could have drafted Bronny and used that as leverage to get some draft picks out of the Lakers. Or do something out of there was nothing stopping these teams from drafting Bronny, right? Like honestly, they could have used him as leverage to get Austin Reeves or some shit like that. So
yeah, but they probably wouldn't have gave up
I mean,
And
I understand that, but I'm
yeah,
just saying,
yeah, and I
you
understand the
never know.
hesitation to
You never know.
not draft them, and you've been stuck with them.
And then you stuck with him. I mean, he's a second round pick. Most second round picks don't make it anyway. I mean, so I mean, it's not like he was. There's a guy that was drafted in the first round that averaged like 1 point something points last year. So, like, I mean, nobody talks about it. And again, if his last name was LeBron James Jr., I mean, his last name was James, they probably would be talking about him, but they don't. So, I mean, it is what it is. And you know, I did like the interview that LeBron had with
With
Pat
McAfee,
McAfee. I thought, aside from the Stephen A part, I thought it was because you don't get to really see that on TV. You know, you'll see it on the shop or something like, or one of their podcasts or something like that. But you don't really get to see LeBron interviewed, you know, on TV, and the pettiness of him being interviewed on a show that comes on right after First Take is just hilarious. But
oh yeah,
I thought it was,
he got his petty back. I mean,
oh
he was
yeah, absolutely, and I don't blame him. I don't
yeah.
blame him. You know, but nonetheless, I think that is gonna be interesting moving
I got a
forward.
question for
I
you.
don't think, huh?
Oh, I got a question for you. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Are you good?
The Denver Nuggets firing Mike Malone and Calvin Booth. Wh- What were your thoughts when you heard about that?
I so not gonna lie. The first thing I thought was, whose wife has he done slept with? That was, and it's bad that you think like that, but that was the first thing I thought. I was like, who wife has he slept with? Where he gets fired with a week left in the season. Then you hear that the GM got fired, and it was like, all right, so who was he beefing with? And it comes out he was beefing with the GM. And instead of them picking a side, they fired both of them. But come to find out that ownership was ready to fire Malone a while ago, but he just kept on winning, right? And so it's gonna be, listen, it's bad karma. You don't do things like this because now you fire him. It's gonna, like, so the Nuggets just won a championship, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, they better enjoy that championship for the next 30, 40 years, maybe even 50. It's just bad karma. It's just like same with Dallas. Dallas may not win another championship for the next 100 years. They might go on a Red Sox type.
Yeah, look. And they know they messed up too. They know they messed up too. They are, oh my God, man.
And the fans are letting them know, and fans should. The fans should continue to let them know, because Luka didn't want to leave. You know, it'd be different if he was unhappy there. He didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave. So and they did him wrong, and
they're
the
trying to
sport
do
gods,
everything they can to make it up to him too, but it's a done deal.
it's over now. I
It's
mean,
over, yeah. Like
it's
why you keep trying? Like, they gave all the fans "We Miss You" Luca shirts, or "Thank you for all that you've done." They filled their arena up the other day with that, and they were trying to get his local endorsements. And I guess Luca's campaign came back. They was like, "Nah, that ain't how this works. Nah, we ain't signing off on y'all to eat because I'm back in town." It's like Luka a Laker now. Like no.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Because I don't know. I just doing people wrong is just it's something about that just gets on my nerves. But as far as like Michael Malone, one, he's gonna bounce. He'll be the first coach hired as soon as the seasons are over. Whether it's to one of these playoff teams or a team that ain't make the playoffs, like whoever. I tell you what, wherever he goes, he's gonna turn that program around. And he's the Nuggets all-time leading
Winning
All-time
Super
winning
Bowl.
coach. Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the only time they won a championship was a couple years ago. That was the first championship in franchise history. So, I mean, he'll be fine. I mean, look at Ime Udoka. I mean, he bounced back easily. Now the Celtics did win a championship, and I think the Celtics would have won a championship probably a year earlier if they still had Ime. But I mean, the Rockets are a 2 seed in the West. Like, come on, man. Like, he clearly knows what he's doing, and Michael Malone also knows what he's doing. So I'm sure if he goes to the Wizards, um,
Oh, they could use him. I
oh
guess
man,
what I was hearing was Calvin Booth was going to be out anyway, right?
yeah.
Supposedly, like they had like some negotiations going, and like it went sour, and they were going to get rid of him at the end of the year. Mike Malone, they started to say that they felt like he was losing the locker room, that his messaging wasn't getting to all the guys. Now, where karma is going to catch up to them at is like, yeah, I get it. They lost 4 in a row, but you have like somebody having like one of the best NBA seasons of all time, your 3-time MVP that is
Mhm.
balling. Why would you? I don't want to say piss him off because I don't know if how he
Oh,
feels
he's
about.
pissed. I'm sure he's pissed. That's the only coach he's ever known. So but I'll go on this tangent real quick. I'll say this: the the Denver Nuggets may have made the biggest mistake that they can make because they're gonna end up losing a generational talent in in the Joker. And when he leaves, don't blame anybody but themselves.
So let me ask you this:
Mm-hmm.
Who messed up more, Dallas or Denver?
Ooh, Dallas. It was Dallas. Because here's the thing: coaches get fired all the time, right? Coaches get fired all the time. Generational talents who are like 25, 26-year olds that just made it to the finals and has led your team to places that they haven't really been for a while. No, you don't just trade those guys, right? And then you get a aging, injured all-star. No, you don't do that. So no, the Mavericks are screwed up more,
Okay,
and it's not even close. Actually, it's not even close.
no,
It's not.
I mean I'm with you on that, and you're right. Just for a simple reason, like you traded a three-time All NBA. Like, it's bad, man.
Yeah. So NFL. I know. I'll say this, and tell me if you agree or not. Shedeur Sanders is getting mistreated in this process. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, and normally I would like to go the other way, as far as like saying that he's not getting mistreated. But
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of teams are not doing their due diligence like they should with figuring out if he could be the fit. I think that because of his personality, that maybe he's not getting the same opportunities that other people like. He's got a very, not necessarily to me because I don't care, but it come off as an off-putting personality. And I think teams are just saying, you know what, I don't want to be bothered with him. But
Mm-hmm.
on the flip side, sometimes like that extra part of your personality is what makes you great. And you're doing yourself a disservice by not at least investigating.
Hmm. Um. all I hear about Shedeur is that he's a leader. He's always he's confident in himself. That he's a damn good ball player. But then you hear, like you said, all those characteristics that you stated, that nonchalant attitude, and I don't tend to see that when I see him. But I think that the player himself is getting treated differently because his last name is Sanders. He has a famous father. He has one of the greatest. His dad is one of the greatest players to ever play, especially at his position. And a lot of people don't like his father because he was a brash player, brash person, and he'd tell it how it is. Most would say cocky. I think that Shedeur is a calmer version of Dion. You can definitely tell that his dad raised him, but I don't think that he's as, I don't want to say outgoing, right? But I do think that he has that mentality that his dad instilled in all of them, like that confident mentality. I think that, me personally, I think that I like Shedeur at quarterback more than Cam Ward, but I understand what's happening right now, and I'm cool with that.
And see, I like Cam Ward more. That's going to be the guy. He
You
is,
might be right. You might be right.
going to be. I feel like he has the potential to be the Patrick Mahomes of this draft. Like I'm high up on Cam Ward, so I get it. If a team will rather take Cam Ward than Shedeur,
Right.
but I also agree with you too. Is people have to take a step back and look at who Shedeur is.
Right.
You have a father that's arguably the greatest NFL, one of the greatest NFL players to ever play football, and probably it's not even an argument. One of the greatest, could be one of the greatest athletes of all
Mm-hmm.
time. To live up to your father's shadows, you have to have confidence. I
Absolutely.
mean, and everything that he's had to go through, the adversity and where he's had to play at, and how he's had to, like, how the spotlight has always been on him, and how he's had to listen to all the noise, and he's had to listen to people critique him and not even know him, and it's just so much stuff that he's had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I can't fault him for being the confident person that he is and having that personality, because how do you block out that noise, right? How
Right.
do you? I mean, we kind of just touched on it earlier on the show, and LeBron was talking about this with Bronny, about Bronny, is he's able to block out the noise. You
Right.
have to have that type of personality if you have a father that is that great. Because you think about all the criticism. I mean, I know I was critical of Bronny on the show earlier, but every single person has been doing that. I'm sure he's getting critiqued by all the NBA players. So at some point, for him to be successful, he's got to have confidence in himself,
Yeah.
or be able to block
Yeah.
out the
You're
noise,
right.
have a very nonchalant like attitude. I think that's what fuels them, because we're all
Mhm.
fueled differently. For
Right.
those two, it's not a money thing. It's not a hunger thing, because regardless, if they both stop playing their respective sports, they're still going to be good. So you have to find some sort of motivation within yourself to keep you competitive. And for them, it's like, okay, everybody's always doubting me. This is what I'm gonna what's gonna drive me.
Right. No. I definitely agree with that. Um, that was actually spot on. I mean, you you got two high. I mean, high profile in your respective sports of Deion Sanders and LeBron James. I mean, like that's that, and you got to live up. You got to live up to that, and I think it's even more pressure on Bronny because LeBron is still playing. So I think that if Shedeur, I mean, he's had to deal with the pressure mainly because his dad is coaching, and honestly, his dad's was a fairly new coach when he got to college. So and then they transferred, but they were successful at both places. So,
But the other thing about Dion too is, as time goes on, people, I don't want to say they forget. Like Dion is legendary in our era. I think the
Mhm.
kids of today, they've heard the stories and stuff like that. And to your point, with LeBron still playing, this new generation, they've seen his dominance.
Mhm.
Shador's generation, okay, they get that Deion Sanders was good, but it doesn't resonate that, okay, yeah, that man used to lock down the whole side of the football field.
Right. Yeah, because exactly. Because honestly, the people that he's playing against haven't really seen it. No, the people that he's playing against never seen his dad play. Right. With Bronny, these kids grew up watching his dad play.
I'm going to
So
say this too. Deion Sanders, and this might have been a stretch, I think he made it actually cool to play cornerback. I mean, cornerback,
right. You're right.
yeah, I mean, cornerback, I mean,
He made it
just,
look easy.
huh? He made
He
it
made
look
it look
easy,
easy.
and he
Yeah.
made it be one of that targeted like positions you might want. I mean, I could never play corner a day in my life, but he brought that swag to being a cornerback to where you like,
Right.
oh, man, that's the mantra, that's the ego of the defense.
Yep. Yeah, man. So I mean, the draft is in a couple weeks. I think it's pretty much written in stone that Cam Ward is going one, and then everything after that. Let me ask you a question. This is the first time in I want to say like 30 something years where every team has their first round pick, right?
Mhm.
So I want to say it's the first time in I think it was 32 years actually, where every team has their first round pick. Who do you want to see your guys get? Or what position do you think they should target in the draft in the first round? I can tell you what I think about both of our teams.
Personally, honestly, I think we need to start to rebuild the offensive line.
Yep, that's exactly. And I said, and I was like, start at tackle because um, I mean, there's some good tackles in this draft. But me personally, um, is one of three guys. Um, the first is Amarion Hampton. I think that he would give our offense a boost. The other is T Mac Tatario McMillan out of Arizona. Ironically, I got on an Arizona hat. Um, and then the other I don't know. Those are mainly the main two that I want to see drafted. If they're both if they're both available, I would go after Hampton, the running back. I know we could get another receiver in the draft, but I I may be in a minority where I think that our other receivers um, are good, but I mean I do think we still need a deep threat. Um, we got to get you know better on the D line, but I would say running back and go after Marion Hampton. So yeah, man. So I mean, we just about done. I promise y'all we'll be back next week. Um, on Wednesday. Wednesday, Scott.
Yeah. I think
Uh,
starting. I mean, we start getting back on
yeah. Shout out to the Virginia Royals. We're maintaining. Shout out to those guys. We got some things cooking up as well. So we'll see what's going on. And that's all I got. I think I'm done.
All right, man.
I can't think of nobody else to give a shout out to. I know after we end this, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, but you didn't say what's up to me." Sue me. But yeah, I think we're done here. So just real quick before we actually do get out of here, just want to let y'all know that we recorded this earlier in the day. So thanks for all the comments. Because there's gonna be a lot of comments, especially with everything we talked about today. So thanks for the comments. We'll definitely look at the comments, but we will be live again on Wednesday evening. So come back, check us out. Go to our Instagram, the Off the Record show. There'll be some clips from, and we may show some clips from back in the studio. And I was just talking to somebody. I said, when we was in the studio, when we walked in the studio, we almost felt like untouchable. I don't know about you. When I walked through that door, I was like, man,
So that's one thing I will say. So I like the convenience of being able to record. Mm-hmm. I love the direction the video has taken the show. But it's something about being in the studio that just gives you that.
I'm telling you, you feel damn near unstoppable. But maybe we'll just build our own studio. Screw it. Nonetheless, let's get up out of here. This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Boy, Scotty B.
We out of here.
Off the record, Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo, and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sport.
His sophomore year. Mm-hmm. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.